What's up, Jazz Nation, man? Welcome to another episode of Duval Against Y'all. I'm your host, Zach. You can find me on Twitter at blind_side_73. You know what this is. It's the go-to Jag show on Towards the Tiles Network. Make sure to check out their Twitter at Towards the Titles. You like all this content or like to see another stuff, Mark Jefferson, some articles, make sure to check out the website, which is towardsthetiles.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you know you got to hit that like and subscribe, and then hit that notification bell. That way, you see all these episodes as they come up. You never want to miss any of these. And then make sure to check out the sister network, which is at the CFB Nation on YouTube. That's for your college football news. And then make sure to give us a Apple Podcast review also. All right, so for this episode, we're going to continue our series of rankings. Today, we're going to rank the defensive players in the AFC South by their position. And again, like I did a few weeks ago, we're going to keep it as non-biased as possible. There's a few rankings that kind of hurts me personally, but we're going to make it through it and see how this goes. All right, so first we're going to start with the defensive tackle D-line. So in the AFC South, I think the best defensive tackle is Jeffrey Simmons for Titans. Don't like the Titans. I can't stand the Titans. But he's the best defensive tackle in our division. He does a lot for their team. He's beyond some of the other ones who are behind him. He's a little more consistent, more likely to have more effective games. Some of them's come and go. He's less injury prone than some of the other guys who are behind him who may seem better, but injuries I do factor in, just like I did last time. And then again, like I said, I also do rank rookies lower just because we don't know how they're going to be. So, like I said, Jeffrey Simmons is the number one D tackle. Second, we're going to go with DeForest Buckner. He had for the Colts. They did have a down year last year, it seemed. But I think his loss hurt them almost as much or more than Shaq Leonard did for the Colts. But when he's right, he's one of the best defensive tackles in the game. And him going down to show that much of a difference it affects the Colts. So he got to be second. But again, the injuries knocked him down. You could probably interchange him and Simmons, but because Simmons is more healthy, I'll put him second. Third, I put Grover Stewart, the other Colts defense tackle. I feel like he's up and coming defensive tackle. I feel like he's going to be good. I feel soon for the Colts. Him and Buckner could create a good duo for them with both run stopping and pass rushing, which is a key for this list. Because there may be some guys who are better pure pass rushers or better pure run stoppers than them, but we're going to do it as a whole because otherwise, you can't get off the field. If you can't stop the run and pass, you're not going to play certain downs. Next, this one's kind of an interesting take, but I still like Sheldon Rankins from Texans. I still think he still has a little bit left in the tank. He's not like the peak he was in New Orleans. But I still feel like he still has a lot of decent football left in him. So I feel like he can be their leader on that D-line. That's a young D-line mostly behind him, Hughes. So I feel like he needs to help with like Will Anderson coming up. So I feel like he's going to have the effect that's going to help them a lot become better than they have been in the past few years. Then lastly, for fifth on my defensive tackle rankings, I have Foley Fatukasi for, Duval. I feel like when he got hurt, it really affected our D-line way more than we thought it would. I don't think he'll live up to the contract we gave him, but I do feel like he has a huge effect on what we try to do. Him and Devon Hamilton, Devon Hamilton was like my 5B. They can be a duo, and Devon picked up some slack near the end of the season, but I also feel like without Fatukasi, we couldn't stop the run at all with anybody. He does give us very limited pass rushing, so that also knocks him down. So I feel like when I revisit this list next year, I think Devon's going to be above him, and he'll probably fall out if he's even still with the Jags after the end of the year. Because with that contract, and then with Josh Allen's contract coming up, and all the other defenders we have coming, his might be cut. And since we restructured Roy Robertson Harrison, I feel like that's going to keep Roy Robertson with us for a few more years. So for now, Fatukasi's 5, but we'll see how it goes. So that makes my list. We go Jeffrey Simmons, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Sheldon Rankins, and then Foley Fatukasi. So next we're going to go with the edge rushers. Again, like I said, I feel like Williamson's going to be good, but I can't rank rookies high. So first we're going to go with Harold Landry for the Titans. I feel like he's probably the premier pass rusher. I mean, there's a few guys who might be more explosive, but again, consistency matters in this league. So I got to keep it with Harold Landry above it at one. Again, hate the Titans. I don't like putting Titans players on top of this list, but you got to do what you got to do. I mean, because again, we're trying to be as unbiased as possible. Next, I put Josh Allen. Again, I feel like a lot of his numbers are down from sack number wise because he's getting doubled everything, but his pressure numbers are still up the top in the league. He just has to learn to finish. I feel like a lot of and then the guys behind him a lot on this list are a lot of young guys, so I don't feel like they're coming yet. They're not there yet. They're coming up though. But Josh Allen, I mean, we saw how he can take over games. It's just like the game was that 2 years ago against Buffalo, he took it over. He has the capability of being that guy. It's just more consistency. You're going to hear me say that word a lot this episode. It's consistency, consistency, consistency. He needs to become that guy. I mean, it's his contract year. He wants to stay in Jacksonville. This is pretty much his year to show what he can do. And then hopefully with Trayvon Walker on the other side stepping up and providing some pass rush from the other side is going to help Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's going to help him vice versa. And they're going to be a dynamic duo for pass rush because, again, we know in Jacksonville we're going to need some pass rush with losing Arden Key and Smoody not being re-signed yet. These guys got to step up. So hopefully Josh Allen's going to step up. This may be a little biased, but having him as 2 on my list, we can see how this ends up. Third, we go Jonathan Grenard. As a Gator fan, I really liked him coming out of college. I was hoping we were going to in Jacksonville, we were going to draft him. We ended up not going a different route, but he's showing up again. He's been literally dinged up, so he needs to work on that slightly. But he's a good pass rusher. He plays the run decently, which is a huge factor for, again, you want to be consistent, but you want to be both. You can't just be a pass rusher or with no run defense. That's when you get places like Yannick Ngakoue, who still hasn't been re-signed, even though he's getting 9 sacks a game because he can't play in the field in the first 2 downs on running downs. So that's going to have a major effect. So he's my third, and then we go fourth. I know it's going to be Will Anderson. I feel like he's going to be good, but I can't put him higher than anybody because, again, I don't rank rookies high. We don't know how they're going to end up. He could end up busting. He could end up becoming injury prone. We don't know yet. So I was trying to keep the rookies lower, and then after year 1, if he explodes and gets 14 sacks as rookie, he's going to jump to probably 2. It just matters of what he can accomplish, and then with the Texans, offense, I feel like they're not going to be prepared as good as other teams because I don't feel like they have the offensive weapons to get ahead, so they're going to be trailing a lot. So other teams are going to be running the ball a lot. So Williams is not going to get a lot of sacks, I feel like, at least this year. I feel like next year, if the Texans hopefully get C.J. Stroud some weapons, I feel like that's going to really have a drastic effect on Will Anderson. So I feel like wait for him for year 2. And then lastly on my edge rushers, I have Kenny Payne from the Colts. Feel like he's always been a potential guy. I feel like he's getting better than he was. I feel like he was always a project. And then with his injuries and stuff, I feel like he was always going to be like a down the road D lineman, just like what we have at Jacksonville with Trayvon Walker, who did not make this list. I need to see more of him from a pass rushing standpoint before I can put him in my top 5. I feel like he's really good at the run, but which is good for our division with the elite running backs that are in there. But for the rest of the league, when I'm throwing, I need to see him more consistently before I can move him to the next level. But with Kenny Payne again, I feel like he's going to be good. I feel like he can with 2 elite D tackles, I feel like he's going to have to step up because he's probably not going to be on just the left tackle or just the right tackle by himself with no help because the help's going to come on the inside. So this is probably his year to step up and show, hey, I was worth the pick y'all put into me. That I can be that guy. Because if he becomes that guy, that's a nasty D line right there for the Colts. But again, just consistency and injuries, and which he was always literally waiting for the next year. So next, we're gonna go to linebackers. The linebacking core in the AFC South, I feel like is actually kind of underrated. I feel like there's a few elite guys, even though they may not be a lot of Pro Bowl numbers, but I feel like there are a few guys who should be Pro Bowlers or should have been Pro Bowlers and haven't gotten their number called yet. So first, it's getting closer, but I still put Shaq Leonard as the number 1 linebacker in the AFC South. He's with all the games he missed, you could see the effect it had on the Colts. With him and Buckner, that's the 2 best players on your defense, and 2 of your big guys in your front 7, which is really going to hurt you stop the run and stop the pass. Hopefully his back injuries straightened out and everything, so he can be the elite player he was. But if that injury still flaring up, he's going to fall down the list a little bit. He's still number 1, like I said, for me, but there's not as big as a gap as there used to be. I feel like some of these guys behind him are coming to take his spot. And then, so second, we're going to go with Foye Oluokun. I wasn't a fan of him when we signed him. I didn't think he was that great, but he showed, I thought he was just a tackling guy, but he showed he was the defensive leader or one of the leaders on our defense last year. He led the league in tackles again, still didn't get a Pro Bowl, which is, I feel, probably just because he didn't have the interception or the turnover numbers that some of the other guys have, and with the fact that the Pro Bowl is not as elite as it used to be. Let's just put it that way. Some of the people who are going don't really deserve to do like the fan vote and everything, which is a cool idea, but I do feel like some guys kind of get left behind because let's put the big names in. Oh, he never played. Oh, but I like this player. Let's everyone just vote for him in, and then he gets the votes and ends up going in when someone else probably deserves it more. I'm not sure. I'm not really going to go into how I feel like they should fix that. I'm not sure if there is a way to fix it. I do feel like the Pro Bowl games thing they did this year was a little better because the game has been bad for years. But again, I feel like Oluokun should have gone this year, but due to he's not as big a name, they put other things in it, so I get it. Next, we're going to go with Zaire Franklin. I feel like he's stepped up a lot when Shaq Leonard went down. I feel like a lot of the other linebackers in our division are young guys who either haven't proved themselves yet or younger or veterans who are just now getting their positions to start. So that's why I'm having Zaire over some of these other guys. I feel like if Shaq goes down again, I feel like he's going to step up, and then the Colts are going to have a really interesting question about if Shaq Leonard's too injury prone to continue starting. So next we go with Denzel Perriman. I know Trevor's made them look bad a few years when we've played other teams, but with him,